This meeting is being recorded.
What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 71. This is part two of week one's review. We are 11 days into the season. A week has passed. We have got one hell of a story starting off. Tonight, very late into the evening, staying up late with me in Bigs HQ is our commissioner, Ben Nisman. Benny, how are you feeling after 11 days, my friend?
Feeling great, man. Always a pleasure staying up late with you. There's a reason why we do this, and that we'll do it 24 more times. It's just a privilege and a pleasure to have started the 2023 Bigs campaign and incredible wild competition throughout those 11 days. Today, got to see a former finalist from last year, Chris Levy. He's in good spirits. He knows what's going on here in the Bigs, and he was happy to hear that it's still going on. And an emotional day for me. And as we kick off this first week is in the books, and now we're on to week two. Now we get those comfortable 7-day matchups and what we're used to. An unbelievable roller coaster ride on all 8 matchups to some extent. So I'm so excited that it's gotten started the way it has, Joe. I know you are. So I'll ask you now, as I'm going to ask you nearly 24 more times this year. Joe Schubert, please do me the honor and lead it off for us, buddy.
Let's get going, boys. It is the 2023 season. And really quickly, Chris Levy, this season is for you, my friend. Let us dive right into the very first matchup. And Benjamin Ben, there are a lot of things I could have bet on coming into this season. One of them could have been Matt Loosee to lead the league after 1 week. Trivia question for you before we dive in any further. Do you remember who led the league after week 1 last year?
I think I know the answer. I think it's one of 2 brothers in our league. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mike Haber.
Incorrect. It was Josh Haber. For the first 3 weeks, he led this league. So it is not uncommon for somebody to take week 1 and ride it for a bit. Now, we've seen Mike Haber run the gauntlet, but here's Matt Loosee, who finished dead last year, saying, you know what? Not this year. Week 1 is in the books, and he put a whooping on Frank 16-4. Close categories on Sunday. Matt led by 2 doubles. He held that. Frank led by 12 RBIs going into Sunday. We'll get to that in a minute. Matt Loosee led by a steal. He retained that. 2 walks by Frank got flipped by Matt Loosee. Errors were tied, and Frank took one of those. Losses were tied and remained so. Matt Loosee retained the 1 save lead, and Matt Loosee barely squeaked out the relief appearances. He did have 3 relief appearance lead going into Sunday.
We'll get into that loss, that the 1 tied category when we have the opportunity as well.
The whole Sunday is just insane. So for Frank this week, he won by 2 triples and 3 home runs. For Matt, he won by 3 doubles, 2 walks that I mentioned, the error I mentioned, the save, 3 home runs given up by a pitcher, and that relief appearance. They tied in losses. For Frank on his bench this week, Ben, it is 7 for 34.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a 206 batting average. It's 7 runs, a double, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 13 strikeouts. Now, we could sit here and nitpick the 5 RBIs or the 3 walks that would have flipped the category, but it is so early in the season. You cannot sit here and be, well, he had James Outman on Monday when he had a homer and 2 RBIs. Are we really going to? No, we're not doing that.
No,
not doing that here.
No way, especially because something so incredible had to happen on Sunday for him to lose there. Like he had that one in the bag, and you're not playing for that category necessarily on Sunday.
Right. Right. There's so much that happens over the 11 days that to nitpick one move is ridiculous. All I'll say is that, Frank, you did damn good on your bench, man. 206 batting average, solid work. His moves this week, surprising low number of moves from Frank here this week. He added Trevor Story to the IL. He dropped Mike Clevenger for James Outman. I think he's found a kid there. I'm not going to lie. That kid looks like he's real. He added Trace Thompson after the 3-homer game, and I don't think he played him. I added Orlando. What's that?
Yeah, he did. He definitely played him. Just
didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything for him, and then, or he wasn't playing, and then he dropped.
Yeah. He added Orlando Arcia after a home run, and then played him 2 days later, 3 for 4, 2 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, and a walk. He then dropped Trace Thompson, added Cody Bellinger, and I think the only day he benched him on Saturday, and he had a steal, but that's, again, irrelevant. Yeah. Finally, dropped Rowdy Tellez for Dennis Santana, an inning, a walk, a strikeout, a 3 whip, but the relief appearance. And at that point, when he had Santana's relief appearance in the bag, he had that category. Let's go ahead and move over to Matt Loosee. For the week on his bench, Benjamin, 10 for 32.
Well, I mean, you wish that he did a little bit better there. I mean, we're still not going to nitpick him, but that's what, 327?
313. You're in the ballpark. 3 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error. The only thing that plays is the error that he benched. So congratulations, Matt. You did very, very well this week. His moves this week, again, surprising low number of moves. He dropped Harold Ramirez for Nelson Cruz. We'll talk about him in a minute. Added Mike Clevenger, who was dropped from Frank's team. So that's kind of interesting that he went there. He added Joey Gallo, who went 1 for 3 with a homer the day he picked him up, but he picked him up after the game. He would later go on to have a 2-homer game. I don't know if that was in his lineup or not. And finally, finished the week out, dropping Joey Bart for Javi Baez. Looks like he had this tremendous week and loses O'Neal Cruz at the end of it as his shortstop. So Javi Baez immediately jumping in here to save the day for him. Let's go through key players, and then I really want to get to this Sunday, Ben, because that is insane. For Frank, we'll start with him. Or no, we'll start with Matt because he won the week. We do that here. His MVP this week, no surprise, it's Mike Trout. 355 average, 524 on-base percentage, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 10 walks, and 8 strikeouts. His least valuable hitter, there really isn't one here. I mean, if we want to talk about Kevin Biggio, he did hit a homer. If we want to talk about Justin Turner, he had 6 walks.
Yeah.
There's not anybody who didn't contribute on this roster. Yeah. So
Turner had a 357 on base percentage. I mean, what else do you want?
It's all there. Even Lourdes Gurriel, who he dropped, gave him the triple. So
yeah. Oh my God.
Insane. The Cy Young this week for Matt Loosee is a guy that I came into the season saying this guy could win the NL Cy Young. It's Julio Urias, 12 innings, 2 wins, 12 strikeouts, a 150 ERA, an 075 whip. And the Cy Young is Eric Lauer, 9 1/3, a win, a loss, 3 bombs, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 771 and a 182. I don't know how much he needed to throw that guy, but here we are.
Didn't hurt him.
Yeah, obviously not.
I guess the one loss when you think about it, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But
at that point, he was going for innings, going for strikeouts.
Listen, he won 16-4. We can't really.
No, we can't.
Yeah. For Frank, let's talk about Bryan Reynolds here, man. Did he find himself a stud or what?
Yeah, I mean,
5 average, 415 with 10 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, and 5 homers, 14 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error. This dude is all of the Pirates.
Yeah, unbelievable just winning them games right now. And he was a sustainable player here. I mean, is this what he is? Obviously not. But this is nice to see. You worry maybe that without O'Neal Cruz, that kind of makes him less likely to get some of these RBIs. You know, you got Santana in there. It's not a really strong offense on the Pirates, but he got it at a good time because maybe this could have been worse. I mean, 16-4. That's the unfortunate thing, Joe, that he gets such a nice week, a nice 11 days out of this guy, and to still come out with a 16-4 loss is crushing because he got some good performances from a lot of these guys, a Paul Goldschmidt, a Willem Contreras, so on and so forth.
Yeah. The one that did not show up this week, Anthony Santander, 194 average, 250 on base. 2 runs, 4 doubles is really nice. 4 RBIs, 3 walks, 13 strikeouts. Listen, it was just a bad, slow start for a guy. It happens.
Yeah. No, Gunnar Henderson wasn't strong either for him at over 27 at bats.
Yeah.
For what it was, a 148 average. He got the 343 on base, but 14 strikeouts led his entire team.
Yeah, it's ugly. He didn't play him all of those days, so the average is 111, but it's a 385 on base because he had 8 walks in the lineup. But listen, he hasn't been great. The Orioles haven't been good. I'm actually kind of disappointed in how they've started. But I'll tell you what, Frank got the pitching right. Dylan Cease, 11 1/3, a win, a bomb, 5 walks, 18 strikeouts, a 159 and 071. For an 071 whip, when you have 5 walks across this time, like, what did he give up? 2 hits? And one of them was the homer? Like, insane. Insane. Yes. And then, of course, this will be the nice segue here is the Cy Yuck. It's going to be Ryan Tepera. 2 1/3, a win, a walk, a 1543, and a 343. Now, Ben, the one thing that we found most interesting was, in fact, Sunday, and Ryan Tepera did play into that. I'll let you begin to walk us through this.
Well, we were watching this Blue Jays-Angels game, which was the best game that I've seen all season. And the Tepera basically shits the bed for the Angels. The Blue Jays have a lead. And we think, okay, Frank needed Tepera to come in the game because he needs the relief appearance. But he needs him to not be terrible and not to get a loss. Well, he's now on the hook for the loss. And fortunately, Jordan Romano forgot how to play baseball for the Blue Jays, and a 3-run lead is taken off the hook thanks to the Angels, who then eventually lose the game in extra innings with a bases loaded opportunity for Ohtani after a bases loaded walk from Trout. And in a 1-run game, oh, by the way, Alejandro Kirk had a pop-up right to him and forgot how to play baseball as well.
Forgot how to play baseball.
Alas, it was an exciting game, and Frank was off the hook in the loss. A lot of crazy stuff. And then, of course, we're just looking at relief appearances the whole way. And sure enough, Minter gets into the Sunday night game. And that's what Joe and I were staying up to see because that was one of the only things that still mattered in all these matchups. Alas,
what else was insane about Sunday, though? We're watching all of this happen, and Matt Loosee is putting up just a disgusting day, right? He went 355 with a 475 on Sunday, 6 runs, 3 doubles, 2 bombs, 17 RBIs.
Right. After that night game when Nelson Cruz went bananas and had 6 steaks.
Yeah, so. A bomb and 6 steaks on Atlanta. So Frank has to be watching Sunday night. This has to be heartbreaking for him. Just watching categories tick away as AJ Minter comes into a baseball game. He loses a stat. Nelson Cruz goes yard off of somebody. He loses RBIs because the dude put up 6. Matt also got 5 for Brandon Lau on Sunday. So he gets 11 RBIs from those 2 guys. And that's the deficit. That's the deficit. It was 12. He still gets 3 out of Jake Fraley.
Yeah.
That's Fraley. Who?
It's just okay, he gets 1 out of Sal Perez. You can expect that. It's so, but then 3 out of Fraley just to add insult to injury. I haven't been there, but you and I, we've felt those kinds of things happen on a Sunday. We've done it to other teams, and not for nothing. we looked at that and said, wow, it could have been worse. It could have been 17-4 because Jordan Romano blew that save. All of a sudden, Frank, he wouldn't be dead and buried anyway, but it's just, it's one thing to hold on to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hurts that William Contreras gets the error on the Sunday, right? Like, that's a kick in the nuts. And then if Cabrera also gets the loss, that would have been awful.
Awful.
It hurts in a lot of ways to lose categories by 1 or 2 walks, errors. RBIs was by 5, but he led by 12. It's just insane. Yeah. It's just absolutely insane. For Matt, listen, Matt, you're on top of the world, buddy. Run this. See how long this goes. And this team is not a team that we should see plummet immediately. It has Mike Trout at the center of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The pitching staff is fantastic too. Or Urias, Peralta, DeGrom. Those are the top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and those guys can take him pretty far. And like you said, as long as Trout stays healthy, he can carry you some weeks. And this was an 11-day week. He can wreck a week in a 7-day week very easily. So it was a brilliant pick. And, obviously it was one after me. So you and I could have had Trout. And we don't know what, obviously, this is the first matchup. There's 21 weeks to go. That's the other thing that Frank has to keep in mind here.
Oh, yeah.
Just remember, it's not even like last year, 21 weeks. There are now, after one matchup, 21 full matchups to go. So don't get too irrational here. Don't let the moment get to you. Like, take it still day by day, week by week, play the matchups, win a day, and fight back in that way. Because if you take it all at once and say it's a 16-4 loss, let me remind everyone, I ended up with the number 1 seed going into the playoffs in 2019. I started week 1 down 11-7 to Bobby. I lost that. And then to you, Joe, 15-4. That's how my season started in 2019. And I ended up in the first place spot. So you just got to remember, it's just one matchup. All you got to do is forget about it, win the next day, and then you can somehow win a matchup. You're right back in it. So proud of Matt for this. And Frankie's obviously a great manager, arguably the hardest working manager that we have in this entire league. So I'm not worried about him at all. And as for Matt, I hope he is on cloud 9. Like, I really do hope he's feeling himself and knowing that he's got a chance here to really compete and prove himself that it was just a fluke. Like, it was his first time doing this in 2022. He can get it together. He can figure this thing out and have a strong campaign.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. We always see a surprise team. We've been talking about this in this week that was leading up to the show. Man, who's going to be the surprise team that makes the playoffs? And you know what? Why not Matt Loosee? Why not? Go do this. Run the gauntlet for all we know. Be as awesome as you can be. You know who's not going to run the gauntlet this year? That's me. Man, I hate that every time I start sharing the screen, it mutes my audio. That's annoying. Anyway, yeah, man, I take a loss here to Ari, 13-8. Now, close categories this week. Ari wins by 3 doubles. He wins by 3 RBIs. He wins by 5 ticks on the batting average. He wins by a win, 2 saves, 2 losses, a home run given up by a pitcher. And for me, I won by 4 runs, the triple, 2 strikeouts by a batter, and 7 ticks on the ERA. We did not tie anywhere. For Ari on his bench this week, Benjamin, and you know how crazy this shit gets over an 11-day period. 27 for 121.
127 for 121. I'll go with 62.
223. 18 runs, 7 doubles, 8 homers, 18 RBIs, 14 walks, 31 strikeouts, and an error. It's Ari. He's going to do it every
average
week.
on the bench. I mean,
yeah, that's a great average.
Because I was like, oh yeah. more like 20%.
But it's also impossible to try to get all of this stuff into his lineup too. He's never going to be perfect at this, and just carries this deep bench. There's a big day from just about everybody. There was a 9 for 18 day on his bench back on the 3rd. We could show it, or we could just move on. Like, his transactions this week, he added Brooks Raley. He dropped the injured JP Fireisen for Colin Poche, and he picked up Yohan Moncada. What's he doing with relievers? This isn't right.
Did it throw you off a little?
No, but it was nice to actually compete in it with him for a change.
Yeah, for sure.
It did make me have to do a couple of things.
Yeah. If not for nothing, it made you work a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Yohan Moncada might be a good bat for him.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was a great bat for me down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Benji, for me on my bench, 17 for 66.
Nice job. Two 213?
258. 6 runs, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs. I had 2 homers and 7 RBIs tonight on my bench. 3 steals, 7 walks, and 16 strikeouts with 2 errors. The doubles would play, the RBIs would play. Obviously, the batting average would be helpful. But again, I spent a lot of this day constructing the back end of my team because I didn't really like how the draft went. More on that later.
Yeah, and you knew that you could spare some ads against Ari, knowing that he's not a guy that makes a lot of ads. So you can just flip things around and you're not playing against him on the stats he's going for with his ads.
Yeah. We'll talk a lot more about what I had to do this week and what I kind of fell into. I added Brandon Pfaadt, who's a future ace of the Diamondbacks. I added Kike Hernandez and Brandon Belt. Kike's bad, man. I dropped Jordan Hicks for Matt Brash, SP eligible relievers. Dropped AJ Pollock for Trent Grisham. That might be my new starting center fielder. Dropped Brandon Belt for Isaac Paredes. Thank you very much. That dude hit a grand slam. Dropped Kike Hernandez for Jock Peterson. Does all of this look like I'm filling out a lineup? Dropped Matt Brash for Cody Bellinger. This is the one I want back. I picked up Cody wanting that final start in Cincinnati. The game gets rained out. He doesn't have a game the next day. In hindsight, I should have just checked the weather report and probably see that game wasn't going to play. But all right, I blew one in week 1. It happens. I dropped Keegan Aiken for Spencer Torkelson. Dropped Cody Bellinger for Lane Thomas. Dropped Spencer Torkelson. Added Kyle Gibson for this week. And finished out the week dropping Jonathan Loizaga, who went to the IL for Peter. I'm not even going to try his last name. It was 11 ads, 7 hitters, 3 relievers, and a starter. And the note I got from the guys is, you're really trying to reformulate and retool that lineup, huh? And yeah, that's a fact.
Peter, I'm not going to try his last name. Was that a move for today, or was that for something?
It was for the fact that I was losing a reliever that I believed in, and since I've got the setup guy in Milwaukee, I may as well get the other setup guy in Milwaukee. Okay. Key players this week for Ari, first, who won the week. His MVP this week is going to be Bo Bichette. 362 average, 400 on base, 9 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, but 3 big fat errors. We could also give it to Aaron Judge, of course, 364, 436 with 8 runs, a double, 4 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 steals, 5 walks, but 13 strikeouts. So pick your poison there. Both of those guys were deadly. But they come with their warts, obviously. The strikeouts from Judge and 3 errors from Bichette is hideous. Marcell Ozuna is going to be the least valuable hitter. That's an 067 batting average. I have it as a 1 for 15 with 125 on base, a run, a homer, an RBI, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. The Cy Young, shout out to Jeffrey Springs, 13 innings, 2 wins, 4 walks, 19 strikeouts, as many earned runs as I had this 11-day matchup, and an 054 whip. His Cy Yuck is Blake Snell. 8 innings, a loss, a homer, 5 walks, 11 strikeouts, 788, and 213. Not great. Not great.
No.
My MVP this week, Isaac Paredes, 318 with a 400, 5 runs, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Thank you, free agent list. My least valuable hitters are Max Muncy and Alex Bregman. I'll go ahead and say Max Muncy, the 120 with a 290, 5 runs, homer, and RBI, 5 walks is nice, but 13 strikeouts and 2 errors almost cost me a lot there, which is part of the reason I had a bench tonight. It's a whole nother matter. My Cy Young, which will probably be this week's Cy Yuck, Sandy Alcantara, 14 2/3, a win, 5 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 184, and an 0.75 with a complete game shutty. Thank you very much. Corey Kluber is the Cy Yuck, and he's off the team now. 8 1/3, 2 losses, 3 bombs, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 648, and a 168. Welcome to the team, Andrew Heaney. Benji, go to it, man.
Oh, I'm just, firstly, a great rivalry that we've had for many, many years, since 2005. And you guys have gone head to head so many times. And it was interesting that, right out of the gate, you'd call this an upset. I expected it. If Ari was going to win, I kind of expected it to get a little bit closer, especially on the long week. But it just came down to what his guys were doing. He was executing a little bit more than your guys were on the stats that were needed. Obviously, you're not sweating it at all, but I'm proud of my brother. It's nice that he gets out of the gate with a win out after going to the playoffs last year. We talk about how he's always more of an even year guy. He needs to get into the playoffs on an odd year one of these days. So let's hope that this is a start of big, big things to come, because like you said in the past, the season is better and the league is better when Ari Nisman is having a great season and he gets it started the right way. To me, it is more, and I know you'll respect the statement in several different ways, but this is more about Ari winning than Joe losing in this particular matchup. And
No doubt.
that's good,
Yeah, I've said it. I said it last year. I've said it in years past. I will say it right here. The Bigs is better when Ari Nisman is a competitive team. And if all of a sudden this dude is actually going to throw out 20 relief appearances, now granted it was over 11 days, but if he's going to be competitive in that stat, and there's no reason to think he won't be, he's got 5 of them at this point. So all of a sudden, if all he needs to do is just throw those 5 guys every week and hope for the best, well, guess what? You've got to compete against that, and that's going to cause people to make moves over a season. Yeah. And maybe he still goes winless in the category.
Yeah. But if he's forcing you to make ads towards it, that's the point.
And if he doesn't go undefeated in that category, I want to know when the last time he won relief appearances was and who it was against. We'll find that out.
You mean unbeaten? If he doesn't win a category.
Yeah, he'll go winless. He was winless in that category last year. Right. He was winless in that category in 2020. He was winless in that category, I think, in 19 too. So at some point, he won for the final time for a very long time. I just want to find out when that was.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. His team executed just a little bit better. I was chasing batting average all week. I felt like I had ERA fairly okay for at least after the Sandy complete game. That's when that flipped. I don't like this team at all. I think I've got a lot of problems, but I can't quite put my fingers on them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the feeling of not having a lot of my safety nets. I don't have Pablo that I feel safe about, and I don't have,
Jose Abreu.
Well, Jose Abreu would be beautiful, but even just having a rotation like what I'm used to. This is a much differently constructed team this year because I felt like the baseball game itself is changing, so I have to evolve with it. And that's
not necessarily untrue.
Right. We'll see how this plays out. I don't know if I don't know that this team is going to be good. I just don't. I don't have all of my faith into it like I have in years past with my team.
But like you always,
I'll find a way.
This. Yeah, you find a way. it's all in free agency at the end of the day. You build throughout the season, and you know already that your management, when we talk about how much of the bigs is actually skill versus luck, you'll skill yourself into a couple of stats. Let's reference Lane Thomas.
Bang. Center field eligible, triple eligible outfielder in Colorado for 4 games. He goes
Good
1
choice
for
of
3.
words.
Yeah. 1 for 3, 3 for 5, 1 for 4, and a 1 for 3. Okay.
And the triple.
No. He didn't triple.
Oh, no.
Jock Peterson had the triple.
Jock got the triple.
Jock got the triple
That's
for me.
another free agent.
So Lane Thomas in those 4 games, Jock Peterson with the triple, Isak Paredes with a grand slam.
Yeah. Those are 3 free agents.
And now a 10 strikeout night from Heaney tonight.
No.
It's there, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
It's there.
It's absolutely in free agency. And it's the timing of it. Now, that doesn't mean that they're just going to go off all season, but it's when you get them. It's the timing. And that's the key. That's the key to getting at least how many you got, right? 7 to 8 stats. And if you survive that for a little bit until you get that one big week where you clobber someone and boom, you're right back in.
Absolutely.
And that's what you got to expect. I mean, Joe Schubert can pull that off. In the first couple of months, I see you clobbering a team. That's going to happen to all of us.
I can believe that. What I will say, let's transition to Ari's team here, because Ari deserves a little bit of hype here. The man's got the 3rd place spot coming out of week 1. And the one thing I would be concerned about, adding Moncada to this team with Judge and Teoscar, and looks like Ryan McMahon likes to strike out a lot. Bo Bichette it can be a bit of a strikeout problem. Like, I would be concerned if those don't start to pile up, on top of the fact that Ari is perpetually with the long bench having a full lineup. So I think it's one of those cases where he might lose strikeouts a lot this year.
Yeah, that's one stat he might sacrifice a lot. But he tends to have like heavy hitting batters in his lineups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got Judge and Teoscar, and Joey Meneses is in there, and Josh Naylor is in there.
Yeah, like last year he had Alonso and Real Muto and Hoskins kind of carrying it.
Yeah. His pitching staff looks pretty good too. Bieber and Springs look like they're going to carry him.
Yeah, if they're that good. That's a question. Like, are these guys for real? Like, is this group for real? I'm not ready to believe in Springs. Snell, always, I could believe that he could have that great season because he's a former Cy Young Award winner. Shane Bieber, the same. I mean, he went with names. And then this guy Springs, who knows, could be the best one. If that's the case, then he's got a very competitive team on his hands.
Yes. Yeah. I would be very concerned over the next couple of weeks, whoever's facing him, because this team looks pretty damn strong.
Well, as we transition to the team that he is playing in week 2.
Yes. That matchup is Adam Lowenstein getting his first win in how long, Ben?
Oh, yes. It's since August 2005, the first year of the bigs. So we are talking, first time since 2005, first time in 18 years.
That is a lifetime ago. That is 4 presidential terms ago. And 3 presidents ago at that. Huge win here. 12-7 over a staple now in this league, Bryan Lebo. Good solid win here. Close categories this week. Adam wins by 2 steals, the error, a home run given up by a pitcher, and 4 walks given up by a pitcher. Lebo wins by a triple, 5 strikeouts by a hitter, and they tied in wins and losses at 6s and 7s. That's pretty crazy.
Yes.
For Adam this week on his bench, his first bench stats since returning to the league. Benjamin, it is 17 for 93.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's a pretty good bench. Let's go with 209.
183. Over an 11-day matchup, the dude hit
Very
under the
impressive.
Mendoza line. That's impressive. 9 runs, 2 doubles, 7 RBIs, a steal, 10 walks, 26 strikeouts, and 3 errors. And guess what? None of it plays.
That's huge.
Yep. His transactions this week. He drops Adam Frazier for Shintaro Fujinami. What team?
The Oakland Athletics.
That is correct. He then drops JP Sears for Eduardo Rodriguez. He added Hunter Gaddis. What team?
The Massachusetts Genies.
I got him on that one. It's the Cleveland Guardians. He then dropped Fujinami for Jose Cuas. That's Cuas, C-U-A-S. He dropped Michael Conforto for Chess McCormick. He dropped Eduardo Escobar for Kike Hernandez, and then dropped Kike Hernandez, because he sucks, for Andrew Bellotti, who may or may not be involved in whatever closer situation exists in Philadelphia, because it might not be better than any other year we've seen. For Bryan Lebo this week on his bench, Benjamin, 27 for 91.
Not as good as Adams.
Nope.
263?
297. So one guy hit under 200 and the other guy almost hit 300.
Nearly hit 300.
Right. 11 runs, 8 doubles, 2 homers, 12 RBIs, 3 walks, and 12 strikeouts. You can obviously see that the 11 runs and the doubles would have mattered. We're not going to nitpick them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, and there's probably a whole bunch of ways it can happen or not. And
yeah, and it might be stop blocking somebody else who got RBIs that day, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Unsurprisingly, Lebo used all 12 moves this week. He added Danny Jimenez and Shelby Miller, and then dropped Shelby Miller for Rich Dick Mountain Hill. He then dropped Dick Mountain for Marco Gonzalez. He dropped Marco Gonzalez for Jake Woodford, dropped Jake Woodford for Jose Suarez, dropped Jose Suarez for Trevor Larnach, dropped Trevor Larnach for Luis Garcia. Each one of those days was one day at a time. So it was Rich Hill start, Marco Gonzalez start, Jake Woodford start, Jose Suarez start, Trevor Larnach in the lineup, Luis Garcia in the lineup. The same day he picks up Garcia, he drops Hector Neris for Andre Jackson relief appearance, drops Luis Garcia going back to Dick Mountain, drops Austin Meadows, who hit the IL for anxiety, me too, bro, drops for Joey Weimer. He then dropped Joey Weimer on Sunday for Ryan Feltner. That was not a great start. And he dropped Eric Hosmer for former Met J.D. Davis. Key players this week. Let's start with Adam, who won the week. We always love to start with the guys who won the week. His MVP this week is not somebody on this stacked-ass team that you would expect. It's, in fact, Gleyber Torres. 357 average, 514 on base percentage, 6 runs, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 9 walks, only 3 strikeouts, and an error. How's Gleyber?
514 on base percentage, over 50% of the time, over 11 days he was on base. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And this isn't talking about Tyro Estrada's 414 average or Matt Olson's 10 RBIs and 3 bombs. Like,
yeah. Or Ian Happ's 370 on 370 average and 528 on base percentage.
Sick.
I mean, it was sick. Like, who is this thyroid guy on the Giants? I mean, the whole team exploded. You'd think, like, okay, then at least Manny Machado could at least have a down week. Right, he had 11 strikeouts, but I mean, he still
had 308.
308.
Yeah, he's still Manny Machado, and even on a down week, he's gonna hit 300. Yeah. Great.
Olsen 361. Like,
if we're talking about a surprise team in the playoffs, look at this lineup and tell me how this team doesn't make the playoffs. Olsen, Torres, Machado, Swanson, and an outfield of Kwan, Happ, and fill in the blank, Whit Merrifield, Mark Canha, Chas McCormick?
Yeah, look, you like it, and it's fun, and it's well balanced, but we got to see this continue to happen. There's Just, I
We
mean,
got to see them
getting out of the
perform, but
gate, we're like, this is a nice infield out of the gate. We like the infield. We're not so sure about the outfield, but we knew it had balance. We knew it was pesky. You got to see the whole thing come to fruition, and it's nice to see. And I know that Adam is pumped, but he's also realistic that it can cool down.
yeah, he can't hit 312 over 11 days. He can't have an on-base percentage almost 400 every week. It's just not going to happen. But it is certainly nice to take a look at this team now and be like, wow, okay, that's how this happened, because there could be another couple of weeks like this in this team.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm glad he cut Kike Hernandez because he went 0 for 8 with an RBI, 2 strikeouts, and an error for him. That's the least valuable hitter.
I'm sure he wishes that he had that waiver claim back because he had a pretty good spot. I believe he was number 3.
Yeah, he was pretty high up, and to burn it on Kike is a bit disappointing. His Cy Young this week, remember we talked about Jeffrey Springs. Well, we're going to talk about the other half of that sort of Siamese twin down in Tampa that one went in the 130s. And here's Matt with Drew Rasmussen having himself a week, 13 innings, 2 wins, 15 strikeouts, and nothing earned, guys. He didn't give up a walk. He barely gave up any hits. He had an 0.23 whip. What?
Yeah. You thought maybe like either Springs or Rasmussen, one of them wouldn't necessarily hold water over the first couple of starts. Like at least one of them wouldn't work out. They were both awesome. And Adam's pumped that he picked this guy up now because it's still a question mark.
Yeah. I mean, yes, his rotation is Scherzer, Darvish, Rasmussen, Joe Ryan, and Yusei Kikuchi. It's not solid. It's got a lot of question marks. But if Drew Rasmussen is going to be this guy, exactly, those question marks can be tapered down quite a bit.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. His Cy Young this week, we talked about him. It's Shintaro Fujinami, a 2 1/3 with a loss, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, some futuristic 30.86 ERA, and a 3.43 whip.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, a learning experience. You don't necessarily have to throw a guy against the Angels that early in a matchup when you're not trying to catch the minimum. It was a risky start, a risky streak.
It was indeed. Over to Bryan Lebo. His MVP this week is Taylor Ward, a 289 with a 372, 9 runs, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. I guess he might be real in front of these big bats. And if that's the case, Lebo's got somebody. The unfortunate part is that maybe Brian Hayes really isn't anything. A 160 average and on base with 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts. And now he doesn't have O'Neal Cruz at the top of the lineup. He could take the leadoff spot, though.
Yes.
So there is that.
Yes. And someone's going to have to do something on this team. Like, we're wondering how much the O'Neal Cruz affects the Pittsburgh Pirates and those other players, as I'm thinking about it with the guy that we're going to talk about later on. But yeah, it's a question of, will this actually be beneficial to a guy like Brian Hayes?
Mm-hmm. It remains to be seen, but I certainly would like to be in on it if I already owned Hayes. I'm not going to go out and get him, but right. The Cy Young this week is Marcus Stroman, 12 innings, 2 wins, 6 walks, 14 strikeouts, nothing earned in 0.92. So at the bare minimum, at least he got somebody who could match Rasmussen somewhat, right? And shout out to David Bednar with his 4 saves and 4 clean relief appearances with 7 strikeouts. Take that.
Yeah.
If the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be good, this is the guy who closes them out, and they were good the first 11 days.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Cy Yucks, because Jose Suarez was bad and Jake Woodford was bad. Those guys were pretty bad. 4 1/3 apiece, both with a loss. 5 homers combined, 2 from Suarez and 3 from Woodford. 3 walks out of Woodford and a combined 7 strikeouts. Each had a 12.46 ERA. Worse whip for Woodford, 231 to 185 for Suarez. It's Lebo. He's going to shoot all of the bullets in the gun and hope some of them hit.
Yeah, potentially, or maybe it gets tampered a little bit. We'll see. He's got me in week 2, so very different types of strategies. As we get into this matchup a little bit. What
Yeah,
are
man.
your initial thoughts, just going like of what happened, how it all unfolded, and what you can see going forward?
This is one of the I can't even say this is a legendary type match for Adam. He hit incredibly well. Homer total is kind of in line with league average. RBI total is a little high. Runs is a little high, but again, it's not anything that, oh my God, stands out, except for the fact that batting average and on base percentage is that stupid.
Yeah, over that much time.
Yeah. The pitching concerns me for both of these guys for different reasons. I don't think Adam's going to be the guy who go out and stream every day. Lebo is more that guy. We've seen it for now 3 straight seasons, beginning now this week. There's no reason to believe that that's going to change regardless. That said, we see what this does to him sometimes. We saw it last year where it hamstrung him and just put him back behind a wall that he could never really break through. And I hate to think that that's going to happen again to him, but maybe a change of strategy is in order.
Maybe. Yeah, I saw the strategy change, though, in that year that you're referring to, because that was 2021 when he was just going crazy right off the bat, and then he started to go on a roll. Now, if I remember correctly, there was a little bit more of conservative play but then also once in a while he'd go for it. What I'd like to see is just, for him to acknowledge what he can win, what he can lose, and how to navigate through the week instead of just maybe going for it off the bat. As I'm playing this guy this week, he's going to listen to this. But what's awesome is one thing that you said is unsurprisingly, well, if that's the case, like, that's awesome that he used all 12 ads. Like, he was right on top of this thing. This is a guy that has a lot going on off the field, and he's got a lot of things that are going on. I mean, the man is a physician, so he's busy as hell, and he gave up his money league for the bigs. I mean, that is dedication. That is heart and soul into the bigs. So I'm not concerned about this manager because I know how laser focused he is in spite of everything he's got going on. Just like the other matchup I mentioned, like, this is not a loss for Bryan Lebo at all. This is a big win for a guy that hasn't played in this league since 2005. And we are in 2023. And that's incredible. And this was a great matchup. And we just kept on seeing it kind of be a close battle, and then it would separate a little bit, and then all of a sudden, it just and in general, man, like, before I just wanted to say this before we get into the final matchup, but all of these matchups, Joe, were just back and forth haymakers, and amazingly, this is one of those times where, and I want to get into maybe your theory on it, on why a lot of the long weeks play to the middle. But this one, somehow there was some separation towards the end, but it had nothing to do with lack of work, or just stupidity with decisions that were made. Like, everyone was going in on it and playing their own strategy. Ari was doing his thing. You were doing your thing. Lebo was doing his thing. James McCloskey was doing his thing. Josh Haber, like Jason, Mike, they were all doing what they do. And this is how it played out. Like, what do you make of it?
It's the bigs, bro. Because you know what? If the matchups are different and all of the stats are exactly the same, we get different outcomes. If you transpose teams, it's a different story.
We were playing for different stats at that point.
Exactly. If we have different matchups, somebody else is getting dump trucked by Matt Loosee on a Sunday, and Frank's not in last place. Like, it's happenstance. And that's what makes this so wonderful, is that somebody like Adam Lowenstein can walk right back in here after a great draft and put up a win. And Ari can put up a win. And you see, I wanted to talk about this after your matchup, but look at the bottom 5 teams right now and list them for me. It is you, Bryan Lebo, me, Mike Haber, and Frank. You want to talk to me about the 5 of the most active dudes in this league? That's probably 5 of them. And we're all at the bottom because shit happened this week. So, Ben, that's going to segue nicely. Shit happened this week, didn't it?
It sure did, especially on Sunday, but we'll get it.
Yeah, man. 12-8 loss to James McCloskey. Round of applause for James. Close categories this week. James wins it by 4 homers, a win, 2 losses, 2 walks given up by a pitcher. Benji, you won by the 2 errors. And you guys tied with zero triples. Good job. For James on his bench this week, you ready for this one? This is actually fairly easy. You should be able to get this one. It's 27 for 102.
That is much easier. Thank you. Let's go with 252.
265. So close.
Yeah.
16 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 16 RBIs, 2 steals, 6 walks, 17 strikeouts, and 3 errors. Again, we're not going to nitpick in this. As for his moves this week, he picked up Tommy Pham on opening day, or the day after opening day. He then added Madison Bumgarner for Tommy Pham. That guy got blown up. He added Taylor Walls for Cody Bellinger, added JT Chargois for Madison Bumgarner, and dropped Franmil Reyes. He picked up Jonah Heim for Taylor Walls, dropped Jonah Heim for Luis Cessa, 5 1/3, and no decision. A fairly decent start against the Cubs. He dropped Cessa for Matt Duffy and Mitch Garver. He picked up Heimer Candelario and dropped Candelario, and he used 9 ads this week. For you, Benjamin, this week on your bench, 20 for 81.
Well, that's weird. So 247.
Nailed it. Got it. On the nose. One for the season, boys. 8 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, 13 walks, 22 strikeouts, and 2 errors. But guess what? None of it plays. Your moves this week, Benjamin. You added JT Chargois and then dropped Andre Palante for Elvis Andrus. Picked up Pierce Johnson, who's apparently the closer in Colorado now, and picked up Brent Suter. You dropped Chargois for Dinelson Lamet. I assume that was because you were still feeling out this Pierce Johnson you got. He went an inning, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, an 18 ERA, and a 4 whip. Gross. You dropped Suter. You picked up Luis Garcia, the reliever in San Diego, for a relief appearance. That was unwell as well. An inning and a third of an inning. The loss, the walk, a 108 whip and a 9 whip, a 108 ERA.
Mister.
And a 9 whip. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You dropped that guy and Lamet for Michael Conforto and Lamonte Wade, the giant duo. They stuck around for 3 games, did well for you. You dropped Wade for John Curtis. You dropped Alex Wood for Zach Thompson. You dropped Conforto for Scott Alexander, and you dropped a Martinez for another Martinez. The second Martinez did get you another loss, 9 ERA and a 2 whip over an inning. That Martinez got dropped for a Hector Neris. Well done. I'm so glad you grabbed the meme. I feel like that meme is dying, though.
Yeah, no, but as long as I can keep it alive, and then the next guy will.
Well, it just has to be Jason Ashby has to trade for him.
Yeah, right.
And you dropped Scott Alexander for Alec Thomas, the Sunday center field play. 1 for 5 with a run, an RBI, a steal, and a strikeout. But it was not Kevin Kiermaier who tripled, which was what you were looking for.
Was considered, yes, that was the correct answer. There were several center fielders or a potential catcher because Will Smith missed the 2 out of the last 3 days or something, which was frustrating. But I was Joe. We got to get into the key players.
Let me get through key players. Let me get through key players.
I know the deal.
Starting with James, who won the week, man, and let's talk about Randy Arozarena. Is he the most exciting man in baseball right now?
He's one of the most exciting players to get excited, to actually bring fans into the seats. Yes, to make someone watch the game. Right now, I do believe that he's a guy that you could turn on the TV because you're curious about this guy right now.
It just sucks that he plays in Tampa and like
Yeah,
nobody's
that's
going to
disappointing.
see him. 371 average, 463 on base, 9 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. This dude was a throw-in for a trade that was supposed to be Jose Martinez for a pitching prospect that still hasn't panned out for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And this was the throw-in piece. Okay, good job, Tampa. His least valuable hitter this week is Ryan Mountcastle. 243 with a 293 on base, 6 runs, 4 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal. Why on earth? Oh, wait, 14 strikeouts. It was ugly. I happen to be more favoring Gene Segura here with his 190 and 227 and 2 errors and 8 strikeouts. But, 14 strikeouts is pretty hideous. Pretty hideous. The Cy Young this week, of all the guys on this team, I would not have pegged Sonny Gray to have the best 11-day period. 12 innings, a win, 5 walks, 14 strikeouts, an 0.75 ERA, and a 1 whip. The Cy Young, we talked about it. It is, in fact, Madison Bumgarner. He got annihilated by the Giants. 4 innings, a loss, a homer, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, 11.25, and a 2. Benjamin, I just won away from your team because I was supposed to do your players next. And now I'm all fuzzed up. Will Smith is your MVP. 357 with a 457, 8 runs, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 11 RBIs, 6 walks, 3 strikeouts, and an error with a shout out to Brandon Nimmo, who had 10 walks. Nice. The least valuable hitter, Nathaniel Lowe, with his 219 and 265, 8 strikeouts. He did have a bomb and 5 RBIs, which is nice for you. The Cy Young, Josh Hader, with his 3 saves and clean innings and 4 relief appearances and 8 strikeouts. Very, very nice there. And I'll let you pick the Cy Young. Is it Luis Garcia's 108 and a 9, or is it Miles Mikolas?
Wow. Yeah, you're right. It would be one of those two. I'm going to go with Garcia, and I'll tell you why, Joe. Because at the end of the day, I drafted Mikolas, and I can at least accept that it's a 2-start week out of him. I'm going to collect innings and strikeouts. He got me somewhere. Luis Garcia currently is the worst stream of the year because he single-handedly lost me the week. Because once that happens, I'm so behind the 8 ball. And now I have to make a decision. Am I invested in going to chase relief appearances now? Is it not worth it? And now I have to navigate somewhere else. Like something like that can throw off anybody. Mm-hmm. And that's why, the net saves and the net saves plus holes thing that we talk about. I mean, going for that relief appearance and getting that result is brutal enough.
It's a good point. Really to lose a save as well on that would hurt.
Right. I mean, it's just exactly
blown saves. We talked about this last night off air. Like blown saves can be given to anybody, and the fact that it's net saves in the research league is something I didn't think of. Yes. That you can get a blown save in the 9th inning. Luis Garcia, exactly, and that hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. If it happens in the 8th inning, it's just like, wait a minute. So it could happen to relievers also the same way. So it's not exactly the balance that we're looking for, but anyway, we're getting off topic. But yeah, when you stream a reliever going for the relief appearance, you have to be aware of what you're potentially taking on, especially this season where everything is so different, and you never know how a reliever is going to respond to the clock. So now you see one example of a guy who, he was in the lead. It seemed like it was going to be harmless. He got the first out, and then all of a sudden it just came unraveled. And then, a lot of it is also the management. Joe, I'm going for that win. I want to kind of protect strikeouts and ensure, but I'm expecting at least Taijuan Walker against the Reds at home or Nestor Cortez in Baltimore, that one of those gets the win, and at least not an absurd amount of walks from one of them. Well, it is part of his last name, so maybe I should have assumed Walker, but alas, that happened. I would say even more than any other stat, that's the one that's bothered me the most, that I lost walks given up by a pitcher, because that one was winnable, and I was winning it the entire 10 days. And to go for the win, that happens. And I did get a win. It's sad that, unbelievably, it doesn't end up mattering because Tanner Scott, of all guys, gets the win against the Mets to put that stat to bed anyway. He gets it out of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
My kudos to James McCloskey, who had an awesome Sunday and has an awesome team right now. At a certain point, I was even fighting, like, I got it back to 10-10 going into Sunday, Joe. And it's just, if my team has a better Sunday than his team, I win the week. That's not what happened. James had an explosive Sunday. And by the way, he hasn't stopped. Today is just outrageous. But let's talk about Sunday a little, because obviously that's one of the most important things to get to in this matchup, as we've kind of got into a little bit so far.
Yeah, you had Nestor and Walker going on Sunday, and one of them worked well. I mean, they both weren't bad. They had 386 and 338. Like, they weren't bad, but Walker could have been a whole lot better, and he just flat out wasn't. And if it wasn't for the fact that the Phillies come back there, that could be eating a loss, and it would have been even uglier. You benched Jameson Tyone, correct move. But for James, 270 average, 325 on base, 7 runs, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, a steal, and 2 doubles. Hunter Renfroe goes off. Shohei Ohtani proving that he does deserve to be number 2 overall. Alec Boehm gives you a 2-run shot that you were just like, cool, Walker's got some help, but I really wanted anybody else in that lineup to hit that home run, right?
Yeah. Right. It was tough to deal with, like 3 home runs on that day. And that was the light day. On Saturday, he batted 289. Is that right? Yeah, 289. And then, I mean, it was just hard to keep up with. Friday, 344 average and a 450 on base. Thursday, a 333 average and a 444 on base. The day prior, 321 average and a 424 on base.
Stop it.
The day before, that's now we're at Tuesday, a 294 average and a 368 on base. I'll stop when he has a bad day, Joe. Okay, finally, a 200 average and a 243 on base on Monday.
So what you're telling me is he essentially hit 285 or better from Tuesday through the end of the matchup.
Right, but most of those times, I mean, the average from Tuesday to Sunday, which is a 6th day, he has to have at least a 320 average at this point.
Well, 277 on the week is pretty surprising. That just means he probably didn't hit very well the first 4 days.
The first couple of days, but then it was just...
It's just been on fire.
Right. And honestly, there are a couple of teams that were comparable with him in average. Adam is not one of them. Obviously, Adam led the league in batting average, but this was hard to keep up with, Joe.
Yeah, man. And here's the thing. We know James McCloskey is a great general manager. He always cultivates a team that, like, you look at it and you go, wow, this thing makes a ton of sense.
Yes.
And I'm looking at this one right now. Sean Murphy, Ryan Mountcastle, Nico Horner, Alec Boehm, Tim Anderson. That's the infield. Not great, but there's no hole there.
No.
Arozarena, Garcia, and Renfroe is the outfield with Ohtani at the util. You know what? It makes sense.
Yes, makes total sense. There's depth there at the bench. You saw Adam Duvall hit 4 bombs off of me this week. Like, thanks. Like, if that just doesn't happen, at least I win one stat. But alas, now he has Hunter Renfroe to just get plugged in there, and he'll get regular playing time. And he's in a lineup with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon, and that could be like a steal. A Hunter Renfroe who had a lot of home runs. Why not? Why can't he have another 30 home run season? So very dangerous. And what he's doing on this second Monday of baseball, he already has 5 home runs and 17 RBIs. Didn't we just see that happen yesterday?
We literally just yelled about 17 RBIs on a Sunday, and now you're going to tell me that a different guy put up 17 on a Monday?
Incredible, Joe. It's the bigs, and here we are. Here we are. Now we've already gotten started. All this crazy shit has already occurred, and we know we're in for a lot because we always say, "Well, we thought last week was great," and then
we just keep going.
Yeah,
Matt Loosee at the top. Costas Faragas, Ari Adam Lowenstein, James McCloskey, Henry Collins. Those are our 6 if we played a 1-week season.
Yeah.
Both first year, well, both new guys this year. The guy who finished last, Ari, James, and Costas. Are you kidding me? What a week.
Great week. And so many possibilities of these guys actually going on a run. And that would be great for the league to see some new blood, getting in there and put us, the regulars, the guys that you see there in the front, taking a back seat this whole season. I'm not going to be happy about it, but as a commissioner, I'm proud. I'm proud of where this league is going, where it continues to go. It's just exciting. And obviously taking this loss, it's a bummer. Like, obviously there were decisions that I made where I was thinking, why didn't I play Nathaniel Lowe when James has Adalis Garcia? Like, we should go down together. And that cost me a 3 RBI day and a couple of hits. And, just little things like that, they happen. And obviously everyone is going to leave guys on the bench. And obviously they are going to play at some point. But as long as you turn the page, as long as you adjust, you should be fine. So the guys that took the loss this week, you move on. The guys that took the win, be happy about it, sleep comfortably, going into the next matchup, but don't get too high. You got to stay even keel. You got to stay focused because it is a long season. And I know you're as excited as I am, Joe, because we just kept on pulling off the pages of the calendar. And here we are. We are 1 week through, my friend. And I know you want to just close this thing the right way. So I'll hand it to you in the right way.
Guys, the last thing I do want to ask you, Ben, and I every week here as we do this, because this is going to be the format going forward. Jason and Mike will handle one half. Ben and I will be handling the other half. When weeks where those two pairings are facing each other, we'll figure it out. That's for us to worry about. What I will ask here, Benji, these 6 teams, which I'm gonna ask you for a prediction at the end of our show every week. This is the first prediction I'll ask for you. Of these 6 teams that come away in the playoffs, which one would you put shekels on to make the Bigs playoffs this year?
Wow, that is putting a lot of pressure on me. Well, I can only pick one guy out of the top 6
one out of the 6
right now.
Your best bet. Who's your best bet of those 6 guys to make the playoffs this year?
Matt Costas, Ari, Adam, James McCloskey, and Henry Collins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Adam.
You're going with Adam Lowenstein. Okay.
I am.
I'm going to flip that question on its ear. The bottom 5. The bottom 5. You, me, Lebo, Mike Haber, and Frank. Which one of these 5 teams would you bet to miss the consolation bracket?
Well, just to be politically correct, I'm going to say myself.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that fair?
Yes. Thank you for going along with me on that. We're going to have more of those every single week. Every day, every time when we close this show, I'm going to be asking you, what do you think about this? It might be a matchup. It might be, what about this trade? Which side of this trade will be better? Things like that.
As long as it's not that same question.
No. It'll be a different topic every time. Okay. Guys, week 1's in the book. We did it. 2023 is upon us. Matt Loosee, I hope you're listening. I hope you're watching. Please enjoy this. There are guys who would murder and give children and cut off body parts to be where you are, to be in the number 1 spot, even for a week. You guys make this league what it is. We would not have this show without you. We appreciate everything you guys do. This week is just the tip of the iceberg. It is the firing pistol in what is going to be a marathon, but a whole lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not subscribed, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you're finding us. Subscribe, share. And until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you in week 2.